Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I'm Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In this video, I'm going to explain all about the communicative language teaching. I therefore request all of you to pay a very good attention to this video till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to share and subscribe to my channel while supporting and encouraging me in my selfless and honest endeavor. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. Communicative language teaching, a detailed account. So in this video, I'm going to give you some detailed or elaborate information about this communicative language teaching. But before going to teach you about this approach, I would like to give you a few very important introductory points about this approach. Therefore, I request all of you to pay a very good attention to this. Okay, communicative language teaching, in short we can call it CLT. Okay, from now onwards I shall be calling it CLT, because the full form of this CLT is communicative language teaching. Is consuming a lot of time. That's why I would like to call this by this shortcut name, that is CLT. So the CLT is a widely used approach. Okay, it is an extensively used approach all over the world today, and to teaching languages, not only to teach the target language, that is English, but to teach other target languages also for various people. For example, somebody may wish to learn some Arabic. Arabic is a target language for them, and somebody may wish to learn French, so French is a target language. So there are so many target languages. Whatever the language you wish to learn, that becomes a target language for you. So in India, English is only the target language, and that's why, because all the Indians are trying to learn this international language, global language, universal language, and that is why that is only our target language. Okay, that is there. So not only for learning English, but for learning all other target languages. This is widely used all over the world today. So that's why this communicative language teaching is a widely used approach to teaching languages. This point is clear, and it promotes the ability to communicate effectively and fluently. This communicative language teaching provides the students with the ability to communicate effectively and fluently. That means this CLT helps the students speak the language, the target language, effectively and fluently in real life situations. So that advantage is there with this CLT. Okay, another important introductory point about this is the focus is on developing communicative competence. So here this approach focuses mainly on developing communicative competence. Communicative competence means to speak the target language effectively, to speak the target language fluently. So that is only called communicative competence, rather than just mastering grammar rules or vocabulary. So some people are of the opinion that if they can learn some grammar and some vocabulary, that itself is enough for speaking English. But actually it is not so. Just if you master grammar rules and vocabulary, it does not allow you to speak fluently and effectively. Only some communicative competence if you can have, you can speak that target language effectively and fluently. So that's why this communicative language approach will enable the students to have communicative competence. Okay. Another important introductory point about this CLT is this CLT emerged in the 1970s as a response to traditional methods like grammar translation and audiolingual methods. This grammar translation method and audiolingual method, these two methods are traditional methods. As a response to these two traditional methods, the CLT has emerged means has come into existence in the 1970s. Okay, and why did this CLT come into existence in the 1970s as a response to these traditional methods? Means because these two traditional methods focused only on accuracy of the language and repetition of the language. So if they can repeat the language, that's enough. Okay, if there is accuracy in that language, that's enough. So these two methods advocated to the students that they should maintain only accuracy and repetition. According to these methods, these two are only very important, but they did not give importance to meaningful communication. So that's why this CLT came into existence as a response to these two traditional methods. Okay, these are the important introductory points about this communicative language teaching approach. And now we are going to learn a few more important things about this method. Historical background. What is the historical background of this CLT? That means here you see pre-CLT era. What happened in the pre-CLT era? Let us learn a few more things about the things that happened in the pre-CLT era. So what happened there? The traditional methods like grammar translation method. So before the arrival of this CLT, there used to be some traditional method called grammar translation method. And this grammar translation method taught the students what? Only memorization of vocabulary and grammar rules. This grammar translation method asked the students only to memorize vocabulary and grammar rules. So that was there. Okay, and next it also asked the students to translate the text between the languages. Language means target language to mother tongue. Okay, mother tongue language. Let me say mother tongue means native language. So translating the text between the target language to native language to target language. So that only this method taught the students. Okay, and what else did it teach the students? It gave little emphasis. Little emphasis means no emphasis at all on speaking and listening skills. So here in this way, this grammar translation method, which was in practice before the arrival of this CLT, gave importance only to these things: memorization of vocabulary and grammar rules, translation of text between languages, and little emphasis was given to speaking and listening skills. So this was the situation before the arrival of the CLT. So this is the flashback of this CLT. So why did this CLT come into existence? Means because of these minus points. These are all minus points. Because if you can learn only vocabulary and grammar rules, that itself is not enough if you want to speak the language fluently and effectively. So other things are also important. But this grammar translation method asked the students to do only these things. So that's why this method failed before this CLT came into existence. Okay, and then you come to the next point, the audio lingual method. This is yet another traditional method. During this period, this audio lingual method was existing or in practice. What did this method emphasize? Pattern drills and repetition. So this method emphasized pattern drills. Some where patterns are given, sentence patterns are given. So the students are made to practice those patterns. Okay, and repetition also. So such things were there, and habit formation through limitation. And this audio lingual method also asked the students to learn the target language only through imitation. Only through imitation means only by listening to the words spoken by others. So that is called imitation. Okay, habit formation process. Okay, listening to others, after some time what happens, you are very likely to pick up that language. So that advantage is there. So it encouraged this one also. Okay, and what else did it encourage? Little room for spontaneous communication. And this traditional method, audio lingual method, did not give enough room, enough importance or priority to spontaneous communication. So these are all failures, and that's why these two traditional methods have totally failed. Grammar translation method failed, audio lingual method failed, and because of the failure of these two traditional methods, this communicative language teaching method has come into existence. So this is the flashback story, historical background of this CLT. Okay, right. Now let us know what actually happened later on. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next slide. Shift to CLT. So because of the failings of the traditional methods, the teachers have shifted from those methods to CLT. Okay, communicative language approach or method. Okay, here you pay attention. In the 1970s, what happened? Linguists like Del Hymes, okay, argued that knowing grammatical rules alone was not enough. This Delheims, okay, was of the opinion that only knowing grammatical rules alone was not enough. That means, if you just know only the grammar rules, that's not enough for speaking the target language, effectively and fluently. So that is not enough. Just if you know the grammatical rules. So that is what this Delheims, you can say, argued. And learners also needed to understand how to use language appropriately. So he said that the learners should understand how to use language appropriately in different social contexts. And if at all only the learners can understand how to use the language appropriately in the different social contexts, that is more important than simply knowing grammatical rules and all that. That is what this Delheims has argued. And in the 1970s, this thing happened. And therefore, what happened? British linguists such as Christopher Candidates and Henry Widdowson further developed these ideas. These two linguists liked the idea of this Delheims, and they developed these ideas, leading to the development of CLT. And they led to the formation of this communicative language teaching approach. First, the idea behind this CLT was of this Delheims, and later on the idea of this Delheims was developed by Christopher Candidates and Henry Widdowson, and they only paved the way to the formation of this CLT. Okay, and you go to the next point. The focus therefore shifted from linguistic competence. So the focus has been shifted from what? Linguistic competence. Linguistic competence means simply knowing grammar is called linguistic competence. Linguistic competence means simply knowing grammar rules and vocabulary. That is called linguistic competence. Then, so the focus was shifted from this to where? Communicative competence. What is this communicative competence? To make you understand this, I have given it in the brackets also. Communicative competence means using language effectively. Okay, simply if you know grammar, that's not enough. You should know how to use the grammar effectively. So that is only more important than simply knowing grammar. So that's why the focus has been shifted from simply knowing grammar to using language effectively. Please keep this point in your mind. This is the flashback of this communicative language teaching approach. So what happened before the advent of this communicative language teaching approach you have learned, and after this communicative language teaching approach came into existence, what happened? So who are the leading advocates of this approach, whose idea is there behind this CLT? All such background things you have learned in these two slides. And now let's move on to learn some more very important things about this CLT. Right. Key principles of CLT. What are the key principles? Key principles means key characteristic features of this CLT. Okay, here CLT is based on the following core principles. So this CLT has been founded on the following core principles. What are those core principles? First one, communication is the goal. So the end and aim of this CLT is communication. The main goal of this CLT is communication. That means you must speak the target language effectively and fluently. That is only the main target of this CLT. So that's why communication is the goal. That is the first core principle. Right. Here you pay attention. The main objective is to develop learners' ability to communicate meaning effectively. So here the main objective of this CLT is to develop learners' ability. This CLT aims at developing the ability of the students to communicate effectively, meaningfully in real life situations. That's clear. Another point here is communication includes interpreting, expressing, and negotiating meaning. You know very well, communication doesn't mean simply speaking that language, but it also includes interpreting the given passage or given matter. Whatever may be the matter, you must interpret. You must be able to interpret that, give the meaning of that, and express the. Expressing means what? Express your feelings, thoughts, and all such things in the target language. And negotiating means making some meaningful matter out of the given context, given passage. So all these things are there in this communication, because communication does not mean only speaking that language, but it also means interpreting the language, expressing the language, negotiating the language, and all such things are there in this communication. Okay, and now you move on to the next important characteristic of CLT. Focus on meaning over form. That means this CLT gives a top priority to meaning rather than to form. Okay, that is there. How? Here details are given. Grammar and accuracy are still important, but the primary focus is on conveying meaning. So in this CLT, grammar and accuracy are given priority or importance, but at the same time, this conveying meaning is given more priority, more importance. That means, simply grammar and accuracy are not important, but conveying meaning is very important. So meaning is more important than grammar and accuracy. That is what you can understand from this point. And you go to the next one. Learners are encouraged to use the language creatively rather than just memorizing structures. So in this CLT, the learners or the students are encouraged to use the language creatively. That means, once they learn something, they must be able to create new sentences, new thoughts, new feelings, new ideas. So basing on the pattern they learn, okay, they must be able to create new things and new ideas and all that, instead of simply memorizing the structures. Okay, that is called using the language creatively. Creating new sentences, writing new sentences. That's very important. So in this way, in this CLT, meaning is given more importance than the form. Okay, this point you have understood. Now you move on to learn other important things. Use of authentic materials. So this is yet another important feature of this CLT. So in this CLT, authentic materials are used. So materials such as newspapers, advertisements, menus, conversations are used to expose learners to natural language. So all these things are called authentic materials. They are used to expose learners or the students to natural language. So after looking at the newspapers, after looking at the advertisements, menus and conversations, the learners are very likely to pick up language naturally. So that is there. So for that purpose, in this CLT, authentic materials are used. Okay, right. And here, authentic materials reflect how language is actually used in daily life. So through these newspapers, advertisements, menus, or conversations, the learners will learn how to use language in the real life situation, in the daily life and all that. So that's why if you keep on reading some English newspapers every day regularly, you can pick up some language. You understand how to use the language. So in the everyday life, so that is there. Most of the people have picked up this target language or English only by way of reading various English newspapers. If you can read one or two newspapers, for example, the Hindu is there, the Indian Express is there, the Times of India is there. You please go through these newspapers. You understand how the language is being used in the everyday life. So from those newspapers, the students or the learners can pick up the language naturally and all that. Okay, and that is an important thing. You go to the fourth feature of this CLT. Fluency is as important as accuracy. So in this CLT, fluency is given top priority. At the same time, accuracy is also given top priority. That means you must speak that target language fluently, at the same time accurately. Accurately means grammatically correct language you must speak. Okay, while speaking fluently, you must not miss the point of speaking the language grammatically correctly. That's very important. So here, two things are given top priority in this. Fluency is given importance and accuracy is also given importance in this CLT. And you pay attention. Fluency, speaking smoothly and naturally. So the meaning of this is given in the brackets in red color. So please make use of this. Fluency means what? Speaking the language smoothly and naturally. That is emphasized alongside accuracy. So fluency is emphasized and accuracy is also emphasized. These two aspects are emphasized in this CLT approach. Okay, and here you pay attention. Mistakes are tolerated as part of the learning process. So here in this CLT, what happens if at all the learners or the students make mistakes, those mistakes are not corrected then and there itself or on the spot, but they are just tolerated, ignored, that they are ignored. So because if you stop the learner while speaking some mistakes, he may not complete the remaining sentence. So it will be a kind of obstruction to his speech. It will be a kind of obstruction to the flow of words of that learner. So that is why the mistakes, minor mistakes, are tolerated by the teacher. That means they are ignored as part of the learning process. It is also a part and parcel of this learning process. And these are the important features so far you have learned. And now let us now move on to learn some more important features of this CLT. Fifth feature of this CLT is learning through interaction. Interaction means communication. So only through communication only you can learn so many things. Okay, if you just keep silent, you cannot learn the target language. And therefore you keep on communicating with your friends, with your neighbors, with your classmates and so on, and automatically you'll become accustomed to that language, and the feeling of fear will vanish from you, the feeling of shyness will vanish from you. So only through communication you can get rid of the feeling of fear, the feeling of shyness, and in that way you can pick up that language very boldly, very actively and all that. Okay, and it's learning through interaction. And here what is explained here: pair work, group work, role plays are central to CLT. So in the CLT, group pair work will be there. Pair work means what happens? Two persons, two students will sit side by side and they interact, they communicate with each other. Group work means so many candidates, many learners will be there. They will be interacting with one another. So here each other, here one another. Role plays are also there. So in that also, through the role plays also, they interact with one another, with each other, and they pick up that language. So therefore, this pair work, group work, role plays are very, very important to this communicative language teaching approach. And here you pay attention. Learners engage in meaningful conversations and problem solving tasks. Okay, and in this CLT, the learners or the students engage themselves in meaningful conversations. The conversations will be very meaningful, and they will also get engaged in problem solving tasks. Okay, and why? To build their communicative skills. So in order to improve their communicative skills, they get engaged in meaningful conversations, and they also get engaged in problem solving tasks. So in this way, by participating in these two things, the learners will improve their communicative skills. That is the point. And you move on to the next point, sixth one, learner-centered approach. So this CLT is nothing but a learner-centered approach. That means the learners are the most important part of this CLT. Okay, the CLT focuses only on the learners, not on the instructors, not on the facilitators. Okay, so this CLT focuses only on the learners, and therefore this CLT is called a learner-centered approach. Okay, and how? Here you pay attention. The teacher acts as a facilitator. The teacher acts only as a facilitator. The teacher will facilitate. That the teacher will help the students here and there. Wherever there is necessity, the teacher will go there, and the teacher will facilitate them. Facilitate, make arrangements between the students and learners and all that. So this teacher acts only as a facilitator rather than as an instructor. That means this teacher in this CLT classroom works only as a facilitator but not an instructor. The teacher doesn't work like an instructor. You do this, you do that. The teacher doesn't ask them to do this and that. In that way, this teacher doesn't act like an instructor, but this teacher acts as a facilitator. That's why students are encouraged to take control of their learning and engage actively. So that's why the students in this CLT classroom become encouraged to take control of their own learning. That means they learn through interaction with other students, okay, and they behave very actively in the classroom, because the teacher is only there as a facilitator, not as an instructor. And therefore the students will only take up the responsibility of learning the target language through communication, and therefore they behave independently in the classroom, they behave actively in the classroom, and they learn the target language themselves. So there is no help from this teacher and all that. And you move on to other important features of this CLT. Components of communicative competence, Himes 1972. So what are the components of communicative competence? Communicative competence means speaking the target language effectively and fluently. That is called communicative competence. So in this communicative competence, what are the important components? What are the important aspects involved? So that point you are going to learn here. CLT is based on the idea that communicative competence consists of four key components. This communicative competence consists of four key components. What are those four key components? Let us see that here. Okay, these are the components. This is the description example. So first component is grammatical competence. This is the first component. If the learners have this competence or this component, they can learn the target language, because this grammatical competence imparts to the students the knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, and sentence formation. And therefore the students can learn all about the tenses: present tense, past tense, future tense. Here the next component is there. What is that? Socio-linguistic competence. What does this competence do to the students? Means this will provide the students with ability to use language appropriately in different social contexts, and therefore he will understand this, how to greet some person formally and informally and all that. So one example is given here, that's all. Okay, and if this competence offers the students the knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, sentence formation, then what happens? They can make correct sentences, because grammar gives them the knowledge of tenses, use of prepositions, use of articles, use of adverbs, use of nouns, pronouns, so on. So it gives them all this knowledge, and that's why they can make correct sentences. Okay, they will be in the position of making correct sentences. These are the two components that are there in the communicative competence. Okay, and what else are there? Let us move on to the next slide. And third one, discourse competence. What does this do to the students? Means it offers them ability to connect sentences and ideas to create meaningful conversation, and therefore they will be able to use linking words to tell a story coherently. And the fourth one here is strategic competence. What does this competence offer to the students? Means it offers to the students the ability to overcome communication breakdowns using repair strategies. What are the repair strategies? Saying, I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I'm sorry, will you please repeat? So these are all the repair strategies. So using gestures to clarify meaning. Sir, I couldn't understand what you said, so please explain it once again. So here, this is called overcoming communication breakdowns. So the students are provided with this kind of ability. The students are provided with this kind of ability. So in this way, in the communicative competence, there are four important components. All about these four important components you have learnt, and these four important components provide the students with various abilities in understanding, in speaking, in doing various things of the language. Okay, and this is all about the communicative competence. Okay, right. And now you move on to other things. Now, the fourth aspect, teaching strategies in CLT classroom. Strategies means, in other words, techniques. So, the teaching techniques in CLT classroom, that is the meaning. So, what are the strategies or what are the techniques that are adopted by the teachers in this CLT classroom? Means, here are given the strategies one by one. Come on, let us look at all of them. The first one is role plays. The role plays means all of you know very well. So 2 or 3 students will be acting out the roles of some real life situations. Okay, and here you pay attention. Students act out real life situations. There are so many real life situations are there. Okay, railway booking counter situation is restaurant situation and a police station situation and a grocery shop situation. So there are so many real life situations are there, and here the students will act out the roles of those real life situations, right? And here students act out real life situations. Example, ordering food at a restaurant. So what happens, you know, 2 students will come up to the class and they act out the roles of a customer, okay, the customer and a waiter. So these are the 2 roles in this role play. So the waiter comes to the customer and says, "What do you want, sir?" Then this customer says, "Can I have some grilled chicken, please?" Something like that. And then the waiter says, "Okay, sure, sir. What else do you want? Can I have some pizza without onions?" So the customer says, "Okay, sir. That is also made ready for you, sir," he says. So in this way, this waiter will be taking the order from the customer, and the customer will be giving his order to the waiter. So in that way, these 2 students will be playing or acting out the roles of the customer and waiter that you can find in a restaurant. So this is called a role play. Okay, and here what is the net result of these role plays means, you know, they aim at promoting confidence. When the students play this role play, what happens, they get a lot of confidence. That is the first advantage. They get fluency, that's the second advantage, and they get practical communication skills. They can also improve their practical communication skills, and all these things they can get. So in this way, these role plays will promote confidence, fluency, practical communication skills in learners or in students. So these are the net benefits out of these role plays one can get, right? And next point here is they encourage creativity, spontaneity in learners. So these role plays will encourage or build creativity and spontaneity in learners. So these are the very good advantages that you can get if you can play the role plays. Okay, that means the acting out of real life situations in the classroom. Okay, this is all about role plays, and this is one of the very interesting strategies that the teachers can adapt in the CLT classroom. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Here, group work and pair work. All of you know very well about this group work and pair work. Group work means the students will be working in a group, and pair work means the students will be working in pairs. So group work and pair work. So what happens here? Students collaborate to complete a task, working in groups, working in pairs. Okay, students collaborate to complete task. Collaborate means work together to complete tasks. Task means solving a problem, whatever may be the given problem. So all the students of that group, all the students of that pair will be working to solve that problem and all that. They create more opportunity to speak, reduce pressure, and promote collaborations. They means these communicative activities. These 2 are communicative activities, and these communicative activities create more opportunities for the students, for the learners to speak, one point, to reduce pressure of themselves, and to promote collaboration. All these things they can learn from these group works and pair works. Okay, and you move on to the next point. They build interaction and teamwork, and through these communicative activities, you know, the students or the learners can build interaction. Interaction means communication with one another, communication with each other, and here they build interaction and also teamwork. Teamwork means working with others is called teamwork. So they learn how to work with others. That's really very interesting. Okay. Okay, working on your own, that is a different aspect. Working with others is a different aspect. So here, that working with others is called teamwork. These communicative activities will build or promote interaction and teamwork. So this is all about group work and pair work. This is yet another very important strategy that the teachers can take up in the CLT classroom. Now let's move on to learn about other strategies that the teachers will take up in this CLT classroom. Third one, information gap activities. So about these information gap activities also, you know pretty well. Here you pay attention. They are a communicative activity. Here, these information gap activity, IGA. So these information gap activities are nothing but a communicative activity in which one student has the information that the other student, okay, other student needs to complete the task. So this is a beautiful communicative activity, right? And here the focus of these activities is on asking questions, giving answers, clarifying and exchanging information. The point is clearly written for your understanding sake. I need not explain anything, you can say very clearly and all that. Here you see the focus of these activities. What is the main purpose of these activities? Asking questions. Okay, you should learn how to ask questions. That's the first point. Giving answers, how to give answers to the questions, that is also a very important aspect. And clarifying information and exchanging information. Clarifying means, you know, explaining the information and exchanging the information. All these things you can learn through these information gap activities. One example I would like to give you here. The student A has a map with certain landmarks. The student B has different landmarks on his map. So in this way, the student A and the student B, both of them have different maps. Okay, and now the main task of this activity is, you know, give and follow directions to complete the task. Now the student A asks, can you tell me where the hospital is on your map? Then the student B says, yes, it is next to the DMart on the main street, something like that. So in this way, what happens now? The student A is asking for the location of the hospital, and the student B is providing the information with regard to that question. So this is therefore called some information gap activity, right? And these activities encourage collaboration and critical thinking. So these information gap activities, what do? They encourage or they promote what? Collaboration and critical thinking. Collaboration means working together. Critical thinking means thinking about something critically, seriously and all that. So these activities promote these two important things. This is all about information gap activities. This is one of the strategies that the teachers can take up in the CLT classroom. Okay, and one more is also there, that is jigsaw activities. What are these jigsaw activities? Here you pay attention. These jigsaw activities are a type of collaborative learning activity. So they are also some kind of collaborative learning activity, but they are also communicative activities in which what happens, each student has a piece of information to complete a task. So each student has some information. Okay, there will be 4 or 5 students in that group. So each student has got some information and they share that information with others, and then they complete the task. That is only the jigsaw activity. And here you pay attention. This activity promotes cooperative learning. So this activity is great for promoting cooperative learning. Besides listening, speaking, reading and summarizing skills, besides enabling the students to learn about all these skills, this also promotes cooperative learning. So that's why these jigsaw activities are really very interesting, very important. And here you pay attention, it also encourages sharing and discussion. And here this jigsaw activity encourages sharing. So here, because 5 students are there, 5 students have different pieces of information with them, and now what happened now, one student is sharing his information with others, the other student is sharing his information with other students. So this is called sharing. So through these activities, the students can learn all about sharing. Nowadays, sharing is nothing but caring, you say sometimes, so sharing is very important. So through these activities, the students can learn sharing, and they also can learn all about discussion. They discuss, so I have got this problem, what can I do? So do you have that information with you? Yes, I have that information with me, so I'll share it with you. So like that, some other student will come out. So in this way, discussion will take place. Okay, discussion. And here these activities promote sharing and also discussion. So these are the great benefits of this jigsaw activities. Okay, this is the fourth strategy that the teachers can take up in this CLT classroom. Okay, now you move on to learn about other things. Problem solving tasks are there. Problem solving. Okay, these are also very interesting communicative tasks, communicative activities. Okay, and here you pay attention, they are communicative activities and also learning activities, and where students work together. So in this problem solving task also, the students will work together to solve a problem using the target language. So throughout this activity, the students will be using only the target language and nothing else. And here you pay attention, these tasks are great for critical thinking, collaborating and communicative skills. And these tasks promote critical thinking, one benefit, collaborating, working together, and improve communicative skills. Okay, so in this way, critical thinking skills, collaborating skills, communicative skills, all skills will improve through these problem solving tasks. Let me give you one example, because if I keep on giving examples for each and everything, the video becomes very lengthy, and that is why I'm not giving examples for all these strategies. For problem solving tasks, I'll give you one example. Suppose you along with your friends are stranded in a lifeboat, okay, with only 10 items, but you are supposed to keep with you only 5 items. You have 10 items with you, but you have to keep only 5 items with you. Otherwise, the lifeboat may sink and the danger might take place. So that's why you are supposed to throw out or remove 5 items from you, and you have to keep only 5 items with you. So now the task is, as a group, you must decide which items to keep and which items to throw out. This is the task, this is the activity. And now the student A says, since food and water are very, very important for the survival, let us keep these two things in the boat, this says. And next, the student B says that life jackets are very important. If at all the boat sinks, we can at least survive with the help of the life jackets. Let us keep the life jackets in the boat. Okay, and he is justifying the reason. And next, the student C gets up and says, at the same time, toothbrush, paste and blankets are also very, very important, because we do not know how long we are going to be stranded in the sea in this lifeboat here. So that is what he said. So in this way, you can say all the students will be coming out with their different opinions, and they will be justifying their opinions. So this is a beautiful problem solving activity. Okay, hope you understand all. And in this way, these problem solving tasks would promote the critical thinking of the learners, the collaborating skills of the learners, and they also improve communicative skills. So these are really very interesting communicative activities. They are great for helping and supporting the learners in acquiring target language. Okay, and you go to the last strategy. So language games are there. This is yet another very important strategy that the teachers can take up in this CLT classroom. Okay, and here you pay attention, they are fun interactive activities. So these language games are very funny and interactive activities designed to help learners practice vocabulary. These games aim at promoting vocabulary, grammar, speaking, listening and other skills in an engaging way. So they are all great for promoting all these very interesting things. They promote vocabulary, they promote grammar, they promote speaking, listening and language skills in an engaging way, in a very interesting way. Right, and here you pay attention, games like 20 questions or find someone who reinforce communication. So there are some games, I cannot give you the list of all these language games. There are so many language games. For example, 20 questions game is there. In these 20 questions language game, there will be two roles. What is that? Thinker role will be there. Okay, thinker and a guesser role will be there. So thinker is there. He will be thinking of something, usually a person, a thing, or a place or anything. So he'll be thinking of something in his mind, and he doesn't reveal that thing to you, and you as a guesser should ask him various questions. Only yes no questions only you are supposed to ask the thinker, and then the thinker will say either yes or no, or sometimes I don't know. So the game will go like this: how the thinker says, I'm thinking of something, it is a fruit, and then the student A gets up and says, is it a round or long? And he says, it is round. Then the other student says, is it an apple? He says, yes. Then the thinker says, no. Then the other student gets up and says, is it a guava? It is a no. Then is it a watermelon? Yes, it is there. So like that, the students are there asking yes no questions, and this thinker is there. He will be saying either yes or no, or I don't know. So it's a beautiful game. If you can play in the classroom, that will be very, very interesting. Okay, and that is called 20 questions. And another language game is also there. Find someone who. All the students are given some lists. One student will be walking around the class and says, oh, find someone who has just returned from the space to the earth. Then he will go around the class, and somebody will say, it is Sunita Williams or something like that. He will say. Again, he questions, find the movie which has received 7 Oscar awards. He will walk around the class, and somebody will say, it is so and so, like that. He has got so many questions with him, and he will say, find someone, or find something, find the name of the movie, find the name of the animal, find the name of the you can say place. So something like that. He'll be asking so many questions, walking around the class. The students will be answering those questions. So it is really a very interesting language game. Okay, how interesting it. So these are all, there are so many language games, these are only 2 mentioned here. Okay, right. And all these language games reinforce communication. They support communication. That means they promote your communicative skills. So the end and aim of all these activities is to promote the communicative skills of the learners. That's all, right? And these language games, are great for building fluency. So if you can play these language games, what happens now? They promote your fluency and encouraging communication, and they also encourage your communicative skills. They promote your communicative skills. You will become perfect in speaking the target language fluently, effectively, efficiently, and so on. Right? And all these things are there. So in this way, these are the 6 strategies that can be taken up by the teachers in the CLT classroom. Now let's move on to learn about other things. Okay. 5th aspect is role of the teacher. What can be the role of the teacher in this CLT classroom means? Here you pay attention. In this CLT classroom, the teacher acts as what? As a facilitator. Facilitator means one who guides, one who supports. So something like that. He acts as a facilitator. Facilitator, what does he do? He guides the students rather than directly instructing them. This facilitator doesn't instruct the students, but he can only guide the students in various activities and all that. So that is the teacher's role in this CLT classroom. And here the teacher can also act as a communicator. Communicator means uses the target language consistently to model communication, to promote the communicative skills in the learners. He will be speaking only the target language throughout the activities, throughout the class and all that. So in that way, he will be a communicator, right? Okay, and next, he will also be an observer. This teacher in this CLT classroom will be an observer. Observer means he will monitor group activities and provides feedback, and he will be monitoring all the group activities, group work, pair work, jigsaw activities, all other language activities, and he will be monitoring, and he will provide feedback. Who has gone wrong, who has gone right, and how the whole activity has gone, and all such things. He will give his final report. He will give his feedback. that is there. So in that way, he will be acting as an observer, and lastly, he will be acting as a motivator in this CLT classroom. Motivator means one who encourages is called a motivator. So the teacher encourages students to participate without fear of making mistakes. So most of the students might refrain from participating in the language games and all that. Then this teacher will encourage them to participate in those activities, asking those students to get rid of their feeling of fear, feeling of shyness and all that. So in that way, the teacher in this CLT classroom will be acting as a motivator. On the whole, the teacher in this CLT classroom will be acting as a facilitator, okay, communicator, number 2, observer, number 3, motivator. So the teacher will be acting these 4 roles in the classroom. So this is all about the role of the teacher in the CLT classroom. And now you move on to learn other important things. The 6th aspect, role of the learner. Okay, what will be the role of the learner in this CLT classroom means here it is clearly given. In the CLT classroom, learners are, okay, that means learners act as active participants. Okay, so they are active participants because they engage themselves in meaningful communication that takes place in the classroom. Okay, and next they also act as problem solvers because they use language creatively to complete tasks. Okay, and they also act as collaborators. Collaborators means working with peers to practice language. Peers means here students or learners. So they work with peers to practice language use, and in that way they act as collaborators. Next, they also act as risk takers because they take chances with language without fear of making mistakes. So they don't have any fear of making mistakes. They don't have any shyness, and they try to move on with the target language freely and fearlessly. So in that way, they act as risk takers. So in the CLT classroom, the learners act as active participants, problem solvers, collaborators, risk takers. This is all about the role of the learners in the CLT classroom. And now you move on to learn other important things. 7. Types of syllabuses in CLT. Types of syllabuses. You can also call it syllabi. Syllabus, plural is syllabi. Syllabuses is also there. Okay, so types of syllabuses in CLT. What kind of syllabuses can you find in the CLT setup means here you pay attention. CLT often uses functional, notional syllabuses. So in these 2 kinds of syllabuses are mentioned. Functional syllabus, practical syllabus. Functional means practical. Notional means theoretical syllabus. So practical syllabus is there and theoretical syllabus is there. These 2 syllabuses are followed in the CLT classroom rather than grammar based ones. Instead of grammar based syllabuses, okay, they focus on what? Here certain things are, some chart is given. Please look at this type of syllabus, description and example. So here functional syllabus is there. Functional means practical syllabus. What does it do? It deals with language functions. Example, how to request, how to apologize, and all such things are taught to the students, and therefore the students will learn how to make requests politely, how to apologize to others. So all such things the students will learn. So this functional syllabus offers them language functions. This functional syllabus teaches them or deals with language functions like requesting, apologizing, and therefore they learn how to implement all of them in their everyday life. Okay, and here notional syllabus. Notional syllabus means theoretical syllabus. Okay, and here this syllabus deals with all concepts. The concept of time, the concept of frequency. In the English grammar, there are so many concepts, how to deal with those concepts. So all such things this notional syllabus teaches the students, and therefore they learn how to talk about time, how to talk about schedules and all that. And later, task-based syllabus is also there in this CLT syllabus. What is the task-based? Means that deals with completing communicative tasks. This task-based syllabus deals with completing communicative task. Whatever the communicative tasks are entrusted to the students, that the students will deal with successfully, and therefore planning a trip with the classmates. So therefore they learn this kind of thing. They plan a trip to Goa. They plan a trip to Kulu Manali. They plan a trip to so many such things the students will learn from this aspect. So from this syllabus they learn this kind of things. From this syllabus they learn this kind of things. From this syllabus they learn this kind of things. So in this way, in the CLT classroom syllabus, you can find functional notional syllabuses and not the grammar based syllabuses. Okay, and now you move on to other important things of this video. Eighth one, advantages of CLT. What are the advantages of this CLT approach? Okay, here encourages real life communication. I need not give you any elaborate explanation. This CLT approach will promote real life communication. Okay, encourages real life communication. That's the first advantage. Builds fluency and confidence. This CLT approach builds fluency and confidence. I need not give any special explanation about these things. And promotes active learning and learner autonomy. So this CLT approach promotes what? Active learning. All the students in the classroom will be learning the things very actively, very successfully, and they enjoy learner autonomy. And in this CLT approach, what happens? All the students will enjoy learner autonomy. Autonomy means learner freedom. So they can learn whatever they want to learn, whatever they can, whatever they want to learn. They can learn whatever they want to learn. So they have complete freedom. They have complete autonomy. So like that, so that the learners will enjoy in this CLT approach. And here teaches cultural awareness and appropriate language use. So this CLT approach also teaches the students or the learners cultural awareness. Okay, cultural awareness means in the Western culture, how the things will be expressed, how the things will be spoken. Okay, in the Indian culture, various cultures are there. So according to the cultures, the language will be changing its style and shapes, and that's why so teaches cultural awareness and appropriate language. So according to those different cultures, the language is also taught appropriately. Okay, the language is also taught appropriately or suitably, so something like that. And here fosters collaboration and critical thinking. Fosters means again promotes collaboration. So this CLT approach encourages collaboration among the students and critical thinking also. So this encourages collaboration and critical thinking among the learners of the target language. So in this way, these are the 5 very important advantages which the learners can get if at all they are taught according to the CLT approach. Okay, and now let's move on to learn other things. Challenges of CLT. Challenges, in other words, disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of this CLT? Okay, here you pay attention. Grammar neglect. So in this CLT approach, grammar is neglected to a greater extent. Okay, of course fluency may develop at the expense of accuracy. That means you may get fluency in this approach, but you may not get accuracy because grammar is just neglected. Because if you want to speak anything correctly, grammatically correctly means you must learn some grammar rules. Grammar rules are very, very important. You cannot say I go in college. Can you say I go in college? No, you cannot, because the grammar tells you that you should use the helping verb, that you should use the preposition. So also the I am going to college, then that is the correct one. So of course you can say I going to college. You might say there is some fluency, smooth speech is there, but at the same time there are many grammatical mistakes. So that's why in this CLT approach, grammar is totally neglected. Grammar is not given proper weightage or importance. So that is why you can get fluency, but you may not get accuracy. Accuracy means language without grammatical mistakes. So this you may not get. This may be there, but this may not be there, right? That is the first disadvantage. Classroom management. So because you take up in this CLT classroom various language games, language activities, communicative activities, that's why there will be a lot of chaotic atmosphere. Group work and role plays can become chaotic. Chaotic means they may create a lot of noise in the class. And group work, pair work, all the students will get up and they'll be participating in the group work and pair work. And when that is the case, they will be making a lot of noise. All the class will be full of noise. The class will become very noisy and also chaotic. The teacher cannot control all the students. Because there are some students, they might take the advantage of these activities and they may start making a lot of noise in the class. There is every possibility because all the students are not of the same mentality, are not of the same mind and all that. So some mischievous students are also there. So they might take the advantage of these activities and they might kick up a row in the class. They might create some kind of uproar in the class. So that's why this classroom will become chaotic, and therefore classroom management you cannot find properly in the CLT approach. Okay, and teacher training, this is also not there because not all the teachers are comfortable with reduced control. Because in this CLT approach, what happens now? The teachers will have limited control over the learners, and some teachers don't like that. Because such teachers want to control all the class themselves, that's all. There are certain teachers who want to control all the class themselves and they don't want the children to control themselves. And such teachers don't keep quiet if the things are going off the track and all that. So that's why, if the teachers do not have proper training to adjust with such kind of classrooms, so then that will be a big problem because all the teachers are not comfortable with the reduced control. And then another disadvantage of this CLT approach is student resistance. Some students prefer structured learning over communicative tasks. So there are some students, all the students are not of the same mind. I have just now told you. Some students want to learn grammar and some structured patterns and all that. Some students want to learn only communicative skills and all that. So when that is the case, you cannot compromise these two different kinds of students in the class. That will become a big problem. If all the students have the same mind, if all the students want to learn only communicative skills, that's well and good. But if there are other students, there are students who want to learn only grammar and specific patterns and who don't want to learn communicative skills, then the problem will arise. Therefore, the student resistance can be found in this CLT approach. So some students prefer structured learning, specific learning over communicative tasks. So therefore, these are all the disadvantages. Grammar is neglected, proper classroom management will not be there, and teacher training will not be there for certain teachers, and student resistance will be there. So these are all the challenges if the CLT approach is adopted by the teachers in their classrooms. Another disadvantage of this CLT approach is assessment difficulties. Assessment means weighing the worth of the students is called assessment. Weighing the worth of the students is called assessment. So testing communicative competence is harder than testing grammar. So testing grammar is easy because if 10 sentences are given and if the students are asked to fill in the blanks with suitable tenses or suitable prepositions or with the suitable articles, then they can do it very quickly, and the teacher can also tick the right ones and cross the wrong ones, so that the teachers can do very easily. But here testing communicative competence is a little bit difficult for the teachers, and therefore assessment difficulties are also there in this CLT approach. So these are all the disadvantages. So now let's move on to learn other important things. The last aspect of this video is conclusion. So what are the things mentioned in this conclusion? Communicative language teaching, CLT, remains one of the most influential language teaching methods today. So today, across the globe, across the world, this communicative language teaching remains as one of the most influential language teaching even today across the globe. Okay, and that is the concluding point, and it focuses on meaningful communication. And this CLT focuses only on meaningful communication, okay, rather than rote memorization. It does not give any importance to rote memorization. Rote memorization means mugging up or cramming, you know very well. So it doesn't encourage rote memorization of grammar rules, rote memorization of vocabulary and all that, and encourages learners to become confident and fluent speakers. And it also helps the students to become confident and fluent speakers. Whenever you speak English, you must speak English confidently. You must speak English fluently. So these two are very important. And this communicative language teaching approach will help the students become the confident and fluent speakers. That is important. You go to the last point. Despite some challenges, and this CLT, though it is a wonderful teaching method, it has got its own challenges. It has got its own disadvantages. Though this CLT approach has got its own disadvantages, its emphasis on real world communication makes it highly effective for developing practical language skills, because this communicative language approach is very useful and helpful for the students, because it aims at developing practical language skills among them. So in this way, this CLT approach is really a very great, effective and wonderful teaching method. With this, this video comes to an end, and now we are going to take up one small exercise consisting of 20 questions. You please go through this video twice or thrice, and then you try to answer all the questions. And if you are thorough in this video, you can easily answer all of them. Okay, now let us move on to solve the exercise. MCQs on communicative language teaching. So here some questions are given. Please check your comprehension and try to answer all these questions. Okay, if you have thoroughly understood the topic, then you can easily answer these questions. Okay, come on, let us look at the questions. What is the primary goal of communicative language teaching, CLT? What is the primary goal? Here you pay attention. There are given 4 options. You have to choose the right one. Mastering grammatical rules, memorizing vocabulary, developing communicative competence, practicing translation. So one of them is the right one. You please choose it as your answer. Right. And here you go to the second question. Who is credited with introducing the concept of communicative competence in the 1970s? Okay. Who is credited with introducing the concept means Noam Chomsky, Del Hymes, Stephen Krashen, Henry Sweet. So these are the names of the great linguists, and you can choose the right option. Now you move on to other questions. In CLT, the focus is more on fluency over accuracy, accuracy over fluency, grammar over communication, vocabulary memorization. So you go to the fourth question. Which type of syllabus is commonly used in CLT? Structural syllabus, functional notional syllabus, grammar based syllabus, phonetic syllabus. So you know the right one, you can choose it as your answer. Right. Now you move on to other questions. Fifth question. In CLT, mistakes are viewed as failures that need correction immediately, proof of poor learning, a natural part of the learning process, signs of weak instruction. Okay. Go to the sixth question. What is an example of a communicative activity in CLT? Sentence transformation exercises, translation of text, information gap activities, dictation. Which communicative activity can be taken up in CLT classroom? You know very well. Now you move on to other questions. Seventh one. In CLT, the teacher's role is primarily as a translator, grammar expert, facilitator, authority figure. Go to the eighth question. Which of the following is not a key component of communicative competence? Grammatical competence, strategic competence, structural competence, discourse competence. You move on to the other questions. Ninth one, the ability to use appropriate language in different social situations refers to grammatical competence, discourse competence, socio-linguistic competence, strategic competence. Go to the 10th question. In CLT, fluency activities include grammar drills, controlled speaking practice, role plays and group discussions, spelling tests. 11th question. Which of the following is a characteristic of a communicative classroom? Teacher-centered instruction, limited student interaction, focus on translation and repetition, pair and group work. Go to the 12th question. In CLT, strategic competence refers to correct use of tenses, ability to recover from communication breakdowns, knowledge of vocabulary, ability to use polite forms of language. 13th question. An example of an authentic material used in CLT would be a list of grammar rules, a restaurant menu, a vocabulary chart, a sentence diagram. 14th question. Which type of activity encourages negotiation of meaning in CLT? Memorization of rules, role play, spelling tests, listening to a lecture. Now you go to the other questions. 15th question. Which of the following is an example of a task-based activity in CLT? Completing a gap fill exercise, answering comprehension questions, planning a trip with a partner, writing a list of adjectives. 16th question. The communicative approach primarily encourages learners to focus on accuracy or fluency, memorize fixed phrases, use language in real life context, avoid mistakes at all costs. 17th question. Which of the following is considered a disadvantage of CLT? It promotes fluency and accuracy equally. It may neglect grammatical accuracy. It encourages interaction. It increases student motivation. 18th question. In CLT, error correction should be immediate and strict, completely ignored, provided in a way that does not interrupt communication, done only at the end of the lesson. Now you move on to the last set of questions. 19th question. What is the teacher's primary objective when using CLT? To correct all grammatical errors, to improve pronunciation, to develop students' communicative competence, to increase vocabulary retention. The 20th question. The phrase find someone who is an example of which type of CLT activity? Controlled practice, information gap activity, grammar drill, translation, task. So with this small exercise will come to an end. Now let's move on to look at the answers for all these questions. These are all the answers for the questions from 1 to 10. These are all the answers for the questions from 11 to 20. With this video comes to an end. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hello, dear DSC candidates. Thank you so much for watching this wonderful video. If you have any problem in understanding any of the things that I have explained in this video, please make a mention of it in the comment section. I am ready to answer all your doubts and all that. And with another beautiful video, I shall be back to you. Until then, bye. See you, all of you.